Well, guess what? I just turned 40 this year. You're not done with life. This isn't the kickoff. This is the launch party. You barely scrape the surface. Life is not what I expected at 40. I just turned 40 this year. I remember I had a whole thought of what it meant to be 40, to be old, to be no longer in my youth, and it definitely isn't what I was expecting. When I was 18 and fresh-faced out of high school, I had big dreams. I had big ideas. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have my own business. I mean, I didn't care what it was really. I was really into wanting like a nightclub, arcade, a bar, at that age, just wanting to have fun, but I didn't want to go to those things. I wanted to run them. I wanted to operate them. I wanted to create them. I was so full of ambition. I had this whole drive, this whole passion behind me that felt like I needed to get stuff done. And if I didn't get it done right away, it was going to disappear. So my drive was so focused in my early 20s about becoming something, that there was so much potential and so much energy and drive in me that I couldn't not do something with it. It was almost on a verge of a panicked feeling, like if I didn't get it worked out in my 20s, it was going to be gone. It might have been a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it caused me to make bad choices or rush choices or something, because I did start off with a bang in my early 20s. And it was exactly the path that I wanted to start off with, because to me, your 20s was supposed to be about taking big risks, really going after things, putting in the time, the effort, the energy, creating something and building it. And then once you got into your 30s, you were supposed to start to settle down with what you had created, start the family, start mellowing out a little bit, enjoying fruits of the labor. And then by the time you were 40, you were on the downhill leg. Like everything was just easy and smooth. You were just basically looking towards retirement. Your kids were grown up. You'd done your job. And now you just had to plod down the path that you had created until it was done. And then you sat on the couch and watched TV. I don't know what I thought after that. Pretty much, I never made it past 40 because I figured that was the end. Once you hit 40, there's no more drive. There's no more ambition. You're not going after stuff. You did it all. And now you're just enjoying it and riding the wave to whatever was created. I don't know why I thought this. I don't know why I had this cutoff in my mind that 40 was it. 40 was the tap out of, okay, all my cards are on the table. All of my efforts have been put in, and I'm done. I've got none left. Now here's my life that I put together. Now that I think about it, it's probably because my father, I was in grade school when he turned 40, and they threw this huge party for him. And it was a over the hill themed party. He had turned 40 and everything was pranks and gags around old people. So he had black balloons. He had little decoration tombstones. He had gotten a cane, as one of his gag gifts, and all kinds of like little things poking at being an old man. Now your life's over. It's all downhill from here on out. So maybe because I was so young and so impressionable, that really stuck with me as, okay, I have until I'm 40, and then it's downhill after that, it's all over. Well, guess what? I just turned 40 this year. I hope that this is not the downhill side of it, because I have not nearly accomplished a fraction of what my ambition said that I was going to do for this life. I have a lot of, I don't want to say regrets, but a lot of missed opportunities that, of course, if you could go back and shake your 20-year-old self and be like, don't do that, it would make a difference. But I followed too much. I followed too many other people and set aside my ambition and my goals in my late 20s. And then that led me to a depression spiral in my 30s, and it's all kind of a blur. I know the key details that took place throughout my 30s, but I don't feel like I was present, like I was there for it. It took me a lot. It took me the last couple of years of my 30s to get back out of that and come back to myself and say, no, You're not done with life. This isn't the kickoff. This is the launch party. This is I made it to the midlife. What's on my second agenda? What's on the second half that I'm going to achieve? Because my father, who was teased and pranked for being over the hill at 40, is now in his mid 70s. So 35 years later, he is still riding bikes. He is doing mechanic work on motorcycles and cars. He is doing carpentry and building and gardening and he put up a fence. You know, he went fishing and boating. Like he's not slowing down in any expected 70-year-old lifestyle. Like, yeah, he sits around, he watches TV, reads his books and does his grumpy old man thing, but he's not ready for a senior home or something like that, assisted living. That is a big deal because 35 years from now, that's a lot of time. There is no cutoff. There is no, I'm now old and my body's giving out and I'm too tired. And I don't have to be those stereotypical things just because it's in the joke. It makes me say, well, what is it I want now that I'm 40? What is it I want out of life? You know, I have my second chance. I'm ready to restart. I've been working on my health. I have been working on my fitness. I feel like I'm about to start singing. No, Fergie. Just tie me up in the gym, just working on my fit. It's down to having the drive. When I was in my 20s, it was all about it's okay to take risks. It's okay to go big. It's okay to make mistakes because you have lots of time to collect yourself and get back up on the path. Like when you're investing in stocks and bonds and, you know, the stock trade and everything, when you're young, you take the risky profile. And then as you get closer to retirement, you start to stabilize with less risks, you know, more bonds because the return is slower but safer because you don't have as much time to start over. So now that I'm hitting my 40s and my risk-taking years are behind me, I've got all of this knowledge, got all this experience, I've got all of this well-rounded, super fantastically aged like a fine wine mentality here. I feel like I'm back at 18 with the whole world out ahead of me, filled with possibilities. Definitely not what I thought it would feel like at 40. Not even close. That smells good. All right, so a quick recap of where I've been to help me narrow down where I'm gonna go. My goal was after I turned 18, I was gonna take a gap year while I figured out what I wanted to do bigger before going into college. I was working from high school at an ice cream shop. Absolutely fantastic job. Loved it. 2 pieces, free ice cream. It was great. I think I graduated from high school and the very next weekend I was moving into my first apartment. So it was a very quick, I'm an adult, I'm ready to go. Unfortunately, it only lasted 8 months. My older sister ran into some trouble. I ended up giving up my apartment, moving in with my sister and nephew. Things were going really well. We even bought a house together. My father, he thought that we should pool our resources together at a young age and get a house. My life progressed in a different path than hers did. I kind of set aside my need to prioritize myself. And so I was already prioritizing my nephew and my sister, whom it wasn't a burden to do that. But then it led into my boyfriend becoming my fiance, and he wanted to pursue a job that would take us all the way across the state, pursuing his goals and his dreams. He talked me into seeing the benefit of being a wife to also get benefits with him, as opposed to just a girlfriend who could not get benefits. It ended up not working out so great. It was in the middle of nowhere. There was no opportunities that I was able to pursue, and it just became a big financial strain and burden. So we ended up moving back, and then I ended up starting my family at age 21. And once you start a family, it definitely changes up your priorities. It changes up your risk factors. And I was working at a winery. I was able to become actually the manager for that. I ran a lot of the operations for the wine cellar and the vineyards. That was a pretty intense job for being so young. I was 22. And I was able to put together events and music and charities and all kinds of fundraisers and like my dream job. I was like so in love with every aspect of it, and the networking and the connecting with people. Unfortunately, marriage number one fell apart. His career took him down a path that did not involve me. We parted amicably as best as possible. Our child was 2. That changed up a lot of things when I decided to pursue a romantic relationship again. This isn't going anywhere. I don't like this. So I've tried a couple of times to record more about my backstory, and it's pretty hard to do. Like, I'm not a fan of regret, but there's enough that I don't want to redwell. My second marriage was to a man who had a very big personality. A lot of the things that he did were not with great thought, consideration outside of whatever his initial thought was. So if he had an idea, he went with the idea. There was no time spent processing or thinking about other things affected by the idea. That was hard. It definitely was a hard personality to stay strong with. I guess I would consider myself to be, or would have considered myself to be, a gentle soul that did not like conflict. And to be able to handle personalities that are very big and loud and alpha and forward, you have to be able to hold your ground and stay strong and stay steady through battles. And that was not my personality. And so I very quickly became lost in that marriage. That is why I faded and had to rebuild myself on my own to start again. Here I am with that story recapped in the most succinct, short, and sweet way I could do it. Because I'm not holding anything against anybody. Life is what it is. And I believe that everybody plays a role in it. And I played my role. And they played their role. And now I'm ready for my next role. So now that I've gotten my history recapped as well as I could, so what does that mean now that I'm 40? I feel that all of my experiences, all of my knowledge that I've been able to gather through my ups and my downs and my goods and my bads and my wishing that I could make my 20-year-old do things differently and be stronger, it doesn't take away from the fact that I still have time. And that is something I didn't understand when I was younger. So the biggest thing I would tell myself is slow down. You have time. It's not over once you are done with your 20s. I did hear this before when I was younger, but I didn't really take it seriously or understand it. A lot of people have multiple career changes throughout their life because you're not the same person you were when you were 20. You're not the same person you are at age 30 and at age 40 and at age 50. All of those years of experience between each decade grows you into something totally new. So it makes sense that whatever you were striving for when you were 20, it's not going to have the same impact or meaning to you necessarily as when you're 30 and 40 or older. I was definitely a very compassionate person. I wanted to do animals. I wanted to help people. I also was really intrigued by climbing the ladder, the power, the money, the, ambition. At age 40, I have no interest in climbing any ladders or putting blood, sweat, and tears into somebody else's profit. I'll do it for my own profit if I have my own business, but that doesn't inspire me with excitement or joy or a passion that I would pursue. That's a big deal. That's a huge change in my personality for many different reasons. I wish that I would not have been in panic mode to achieve so much that I let slip the little pieces that grow over time. Investing when I was in my early 20s would have made such a huge difference. Saying no to people would have made such a huge difference. Being able to take my time at something that I didn't feel would show any promise or results for years, I wished I would have taken the time to do. Doing this YouTube channel, I have literally been thinking about doing a YouTube channel since I was 32. I'm 40 now. So for 8 years, I have been thinking about a YouTube channel and watching and analyzing and daydreaming about all these different possibilities. And I didn't pursue any of it because my brain said this was not an immediate result. This is not immediate action. This is not a job. This is not something that I can gain benefit from right now. I knew there would be benefit in the future and my future self would probably appreciate it, but I couldn't get myself to switch gears which was the same problem I had throughout my 20s. I've been working really hard on calming that drive down, which is why weight loss was so hard, because you don't see results from the blood, sweat, and tears you put in today. You see that way into the future from those habits and those, benefits. Those are months away from seeing, even a year or two away from seeing. That made it really hard to stick with things. Moving forward, now that I realize there are so many opportunities, just because I turned 40 and I missed out on a lot of opportunities in my 20s and 30s, doesn't mean that I still won't have benefit in my 50s from whatever I do now. But my 50-year-old self will never see it, never experience the good, the benefit of the work I put in today if I don't put in the work today. It's bittersweet. It's part of learning. It's a life lesson. You don't learn that lesson until you live life. Nobody can tell it's you, because as you might know, if you know a teenager, an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, they don't listen worth a damn about anything. They already know they're going to do it themselves, and there's nothing you can say to convince them your way will work better or benefit them compared to whatever way they've decided. Oh, I was like top level, don't tell me what to do. So here I am living the life of somebody who didn't want anybody to tell them what to do. Take what you will. A lesson learned through somebody else's mistakes is much less painful than a lesson learned through your own mistakes. Yeah. The moral of the story, or the basic takeaway, is it doesn't matter if you are 40, if you're 50, if you're in your 60s, if you're 70 years old, you have so much life still waiting to be explored. And it should just be an opportunity to say, hey, I have learned this, I have done this, I have understood this aspect, and I'm going to use it to do this. And it's anything. Like, the world is your oyster. Don't sit on your butt. Don't let life pass you by. You're not counting down your days till you're done and you're checking out. There's like the whole second half. You barely scrape the surface of everything that you can accomplish and achieve and see and do. It should be exciting when you hit midlife. It should not be the doom and gloom downward spiral. You're over the hill and it's all coming to an end. It should be your launching point for what's next. I look forward to hearing from anybody, any comments about what kind of spectacular stuff you have already done, or what you want to do, or what you're inspired now to do. So share the love, and thank you for watching.